Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 2 Club's Smart Woman's Guide to Breakups and Everything After. Today, I'm here with executive coach, recruiter, and CEO of Chorus Executive and Peelpcoach in Australia, Christine Khor. And today, we're going to be talking about nailing your job interview. Welcome, Christine.
Well, thank you for having me, Melanie.
Great to see you. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so over the last 20 years, I have interviewed literally thousands and thousands of people. And so what I'm going to share with you now are my top tips of how to nail that interview, specifically for women, right? Now, the first thing about an interview, and this is for anyone, is you've got to turn up and you've got to be prepared. Right? So as much research as you can do on the organization, on the person that's interviewing you, on the industry, have insights around what's happened, so that you can actually add value to the interview in the sense of understanding what the industry, et cetera, is. And most importantly, and this is the part that lots of people forget, is their actual CV and what they've done. The biggest mistake that I've seen in interviews is when I'll ask somebody a question about their CV, so something maybe they did, 4 or 5 years ago, an achievement or so that they've put in their CV, and I say, so tell me about that achievement or how you achieved that goal or that, revenue budget, and they'll say, oh, it was so long ago, I can't remember. Now, your CV is your business case to getting your next job. So whatever you put in it, you need to know it and you need to be able to talk to it. If you cannot remember, if you do not know it, don't put it in there or don't mention it, because it's just giving you or giving the interviewer space to be able to find out what you're not good at if you don't do it well. The second thing is talk forward. Talk about what you can do, what you can deliver, what your strengths are. Again, with women, we tend to focus on what we can't do. We tend to love to please. We don't want to let people down. So we've all seen the research that women only apply for roles where they can do 80% of the role, and men apply if they can do 50% of the role. The first thing is, women, if you can do 50% of the role, apply for it, right? Because that stretch is, that 50% that you can't do is what's going to actually keep you motivated and a long-term employee in that organization. But the 50% that you cannot do, please don't spend 90% of the interviewing talking about that, right? That is what I have found over and over again. So they can do, this 50% of stuff. They can't do this 50% of stuff, but they spend all their time telling me what they can't do. Don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is, how are you going to overcome that gap, right? So if there's these 3 activities that you cannot do, what courses are you going to do? Who are you going to speak to? Who are you going to shadow? What extracurricular work are you going to do to fill that gap? Do not make it a problem. Make it an opportunity, right? So that's a definite. The thing is, when you're talking about your ability to deliver, what I've found again with women, especially women who are primary caretakers of their children, we overcompensate for the fact that we need flexibility for our children. If your caretaking of your children is not going to affect the day-to-day operations of your work, for example, if you've got childcare sorted, if you've got the situation where you've got a responsible partner that's helping out, if you've got daycare, if you've got whatever you've got, you don't need to mention that you're a woman with children or a single woman with children. It's not necessary. You only need to mention it, if it's asked, but again, don't justify yourself. Just be really clear. I've got that sorted. I've got great childcare. Thank you very much. Stop the conversation. You don't need to go on about, I've got 3 great nannies and they come in and I've got this. And I don't need to do that. Don't overcomplicate. The only other time is if it does actually impact your ability to do your work. For example, if you're going for a sales role and there's a lot of travel and you have your children, for example, 1 week on, 1 week off, which means that you can travel excessively in 1 week, but the next week you can't really do that, then explain that, right? But again, be succinct. I can travel every second week because I have joint custody of my children, with my partner. So every second week I can, but the other week I can't. Just be really matter of fact. Don't apologize for it. Don't make excuses for it. It is what it is. I mean, over 50% of people are now divorced, so they're single women and single men. We're all in the same boat. I can guarantee you that the single father who's in the same boat is not apologizing for the fact that he can't travel. He's stating it as a fact. So do that for you. Second thing is one of the final things, and I can talk forever of this. I've got like 20 years experience on all of this stuff, right? But what I'd like to say is turn up and be authentic. Be confident in what you're adding value to, how you're going to add value, what you can bring to the organization, what you can bring to the role, and speak with confidence of the value that you're going to add. Do not apologize for who you are. Do not apologize for, what you haven't got. I'm not saying be arrogant. I'm saying accept that there might be skills and experience you don't have, but you don't have to apologize for it. That's a very different thing. And my last word on this is don't forget that you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. You have to make sure it's a right fit for you. Always prepare questions for you to ask them, as well as questions they're going to ask you. Now, I've sent through some tip sheets that can be sent through to you if you want to look at that, but please prepare both ways of what they're going to ask you, but also what you should ask them to make sure that this is the right spot for you.
Awesome. Wonderful, Christine. And we will have those tip sheets available as links underneath this blog post, video post here. So thank you so much. Wonderful information. More resources on our website at chapter2club.com. And we will see you all next time. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 2 Club's Smart Woman's Guide to Breakups and Everything After. Today, I'm here with executive coach, recruiter, and CEO of Chorus Executive and Peelpcoach, Christine Khor of Australia, and we're going to be talking about building your resume. Hello, Christine, welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Let's jump right in. Let's help build the resume.
Okay, so the resume is one of the hardest documents that anybody writes because basically it is a few sheets of paper, maybe, or now an electronic document of 3 to 5 or maybe 6 pages that highlights in a very concise way why someone should hire you and how you are going to add value to another organization. So, it is where you put in all the wonderful things about you. And again, you can't be shy about that. It is an advertising tool. And I want you to think about this really carefully. If Nike stopped advertising, irrespective of how great their shoes are, how much research they do, what value that they add to, your feet when you run, they stopped advertising, sales would stop. They would move over to someone else. So your CV is your advertising tool, like your LinkedIn profile, where you need to highlight very clearly what value you can add. Now, when you write this business case, and I want you to think about it like that, it's a business case. It's not a story, it's a business case. Who is the person that is reading it on the other end? And your job is to make your business case so easy on the other end that they get it. Now, whether you're applying directly to an organization and a manager, or whether you're applying to a recruiter like me, I've got to be able to get who you are and what you can give me really quickly. And I would get, as a recruiter now, maybe 300 or 400 applications per role, which means that if I get a CV from somebody that is too hard to read, it's too complicated, I'll be honest, it goes. Because if you can't get me to understand who you are in maybe 2 or 3 minutes, I don't have time to waste on you. So here are the things that you need to do. 1, be really clear about your, where you can be contacted. Don't hide it away down in the bottom like it's Christine Khor, here's my email, here's my LinkedIn connection, and whatever. If you want to put other social media feeds in, you can, right? 2, then when you're writing your jobs and what you've been doing, it's really clear from this date to this date. So, Peelpcoach CEO and founder from 2017 to current. Explain what the organization is. Even if you know what it is, a recruiter or a person from a different organization may not. So Peelpcoach is, explain what it is. You know, we're a global organization. We do ABC. The next thing is put your title. Then I always put what your remit is, right? So it could be how many people you've got reporting to you. It could be the size of the advertising budget you're managing. It could be the size of the operations budget. So that people can immediately see, whoa, she's a general manager of a role. She's got 500 people reporting to her. She's got a $300 million budget. So they can see very quickly what you do, including direct reports. I have, 10 direct reports or 50 direct reports, whatever that may be. So they get a snapshot. Then we go into responsibilities and achievements. Now, responsibilities are things that you do, right? It's what you are responsible for. So writing the strategic plan, managing the team, achieving sales budgets, whatever the job is or the task that you do. Your achievements are not a summary of your responsibilities. Your achievements are the things that are over and above what your job is. For example, an achievement is not writing the strategic plan. That is your job. Your achievement would be implementing the strategic plan 12 months ahead of plan. Your achievement is not hitting the sales target, because that's what you're paid to do. Your achievement is exceeding the sales budget by 10%. So be really clear. And achievements always have to have a measurable outcome. Now, everything has a positive outcome or a value-add outcome. Ideally, I look for things that have got a metric against it, so 10% increase or, achieve budget 12 months ahead of time or something like that. Not everything does have that, but as much as you can, try to find that. If you're in HR, for example, it might be retention increased, a churn decreased, engagements increased. So they'll try as much as possible to find a metric to give evidence that the strategy that you've put forward or the activities that you've done have actually added commercial value to the organisation. Because it is, as employees, our role is to add value to the organisation and to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. And the only way to do that is by measurable outcomes. So be really clear about that. I always get the question, actually, how far do I go? What I would do is, for the last sort of 10 to 15 years of your career, be pretty robust in the responsibilities and the achievements that you put in there. After that, I would still keep the roles in, but you don't have to be, just put the title, the company, the title, and the year. Don't have to worry about responsibilities and achievements, because they'll ask you about that later if they need to, but they should be able to tell by your title sort of what you did. Avoid jargon, right? So jargon might be important in your organisation, but if I'm a recruiter looking at lots of different organisations and lots of CVs, I want it really easy. So if revenue is revenue, if it's called GSV or RV or GM or something else in your business, don't call it that, call it revenue. So avoid jargon as much as you can. Dot points is important. Don't write long essays, because as a recruiter, I'm not going to read long, winding essays. I don't have time for that, and I'm not interested in it. And I always say avoid pictures, because, what you look like should be irrelevant, and people unconsciously, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, will make a judgment. So as much as possible, don't put that. It's not necessary to do that. And just know your stuff.
Wonderful. These are great insights for building your resume. Thank you so much, Christine. And you can find more resources on our website at chapter2club.com. And we'll see you next time. Take care.